So, pine. Pines are pretty prolific. Wherever pines are, they like to spread. They really like to take over mountainsides. And tends to be fairly sparse vegetation under them. They make pretty acidic soil with the needles they drop, which not everything is into, but mulch your strawberries with pine needles. Way into it. Pine needles and coffee grounds for your strawberries. So this pine is one of my favorites. I'm just gonna show you this one because it's awesome. See that? And then these roots on this. And they come and they fuse here with the cedar tree. What? Pretty magical. Growing on the edge of this little creek that's the beginning of the headwaters. And last summer I lived at the roots of pine trees, and some of them make a pretty decent pillow. This one not so much. And the needles are pretty nice to sleep on if you can avoid getting poked. They make a nice soft bed. The wood is not really one that you want to burn. It has a really nice smell to it, but it has extra oils in it that will actually make you quite sick. If you're burning pine for a fire and you inhale a lot of it, then it's going to give you like flu-like symptoms. So you don't really want to do that. Although there is a lot of useful stuff, a lot of cool stuff going on in the pine. You can eat a lot of a pine tree. You can eat the needles. They're really high in vitamin C, really tart. They're totally the best in the springtime. You get the fresh little green. They'll send out these bright green little shoots of just straight pure vitamin C's, like so tart, so good. Also in the springtime, they will be making the pollen pods, which is one of my favorite pine foods. It's the pine cone beginning. But before it's a pine cone, it's this tiny little, pollen pod. It looks like a pine cone, but it's all pollen. You'll know they're ready because you'll just touch them and just pollen will fly everywhere. And if they're good, sometimes you can stand on one and hit them, and you get really nice blonde highlights in your beard. It's great. Really, really high energy food. Pollen is a superfood for sure. A lot of people are really into the bee pollen. I really like the bee pollen, but you got a jacket from bees, and they put these little screens out that they walk over and get their legs stuck and mangled, and not so cool. Just go harvest your own. Pines are pretty good, although you don't want to have too much pine. You can eat a lot of things. You can eat the bark of a pine. It might not be appealing, but you might need it in a survival situation if that's all you got. Also, a pine cone every now and then can be really good toilet paper. One of those things, you don't want to do that, but if you need to, the trick is you turn it around. You get one all the way open and turn it the other way from the spikes. There's only spikes on one side. Turn it the other way. Yeah, I'm not super into it, but it's effective if you need it, and it's there. So lots of good uses. The needles, the shoots are absolutely the best. Get them in the springtime when they're bright green, but you still don't want a whole lot of pine. Pine is fine, but I do prefer fir. Sorry. So pines have, I believe it's terpenes. I believe that's the same stuff that you clean oil-based paintbrush. And so there's a bit of that in it. So you don't want to get a whole lot of the pine in your diet, but here and there, and especially the shoots and the pollen, or pine nuts are amazing. But there's so many different types. and I think sometimes kind of underappreciated. They're a pretty rockin' tree. Also, the sap, that's one of the more annoying things. It'll drop that sticky stuff that gets stuck to your pants. And that can actually be really amazing medicine. There's all kinds of stuff going on in that sap, and you can just chew it like a gum. You can get it in. I feel like it'll help with cavities, kind of coats it like a propolis. Keeps all kinds of things clean. Look into that. But if you're going for the sap, if you feel called to that, the clearer sap generally for tree saps is better. If you find them really dark and ambery looking, which amber is sap, but if you find that really dark yellow or reds or something, or thick mucusy looking, it's kind of like that. It's kind of a tree expelling sickness in that. But if you find the really, really clear, I ate some really clear this morning, but a lot of it, when you see the dark yellows and other colors in it, you don't want the sap. But that can be pretty nice just as a gum. But yeah, it cleans out all kinds of things. Pretty wonderful stuff. Yeah. And they just make some of the best air. Like coniferous air. These conifers, like a pine with the needles instead of the leaves, just the freshness. It's like that clean, like that new car smell, where they put it in a lot of cleaners, and there's just something about it. Just that fresh and clean goodness. Pine.